So the paint booth saga has come to, I don't want to say an end, it's still in the process, but I got my Happy Buy inflatable spray booth today, finally, from China. Actually, it came via Amazon, but it's Chinese made. So basically, I'm going to blow it up and give a little tour to show it off. And we'll go from there. I plan on painting my truck next week. I'm totally skipping ahead on all of my videos because part of that reason is I have not found a great video on the inflatable spray booth. I've seen a couple guys. One guy's a pretty big YouTuber. He's got one, and his video on it is not very good. And I don't particularly care for the things that he does, but that's internet bullshit. A couple other videos I saw were all in Chinese. They were made by the manufacturer, and they don't really explain anything. And I saw two other ones. The one is a really cool, the guy's got his 240ZX in it, but he doesn't explain anything. It's just the car in the booth. And then another guy blows one up and doesn't really explain a whole lot about it, other than it's made out of a sailcloth. So I'm going to throw this one together, and hopefully I get some views on it. All right. Well, it's finally here. After getting screwed by eBay, and actually I didn't get screwed by eBay, I got screwed by a seller on eBay, which actually kind of turned out to my advantage. My inflatable spray booth is here, so I can finally, almost, get to painting my truck. I ordered from Amazon and Happy Buy inflatables, if you can see the box here, a 33-foot by 16-foot by 11-foot high inflatable spray structure. It says inflatable spray tent right on the side of the beat to hell Chinese box. I don't know what the Chinese like to scrimp on more, hardware or the packaging. So the spray tent came with two blowers. This one came today. The other one came yesterday. This is a 350 watt blower that is supposed to be for inflating the tent. And let's take a look at it. This is a kind of like an unboxing. This is exactly what I expected it to be. Poorly packaged. Yellow plastic. Blower. Alright. Well, it's not smashed up out of the box, I can see yet. So that's a good thing. It also came with this blower. Ugh. This is a 1.5 horsepower, supposedly. Yeah, this is a 1.5 horsepower blower that is supposed to be for moving air through the tent. And because of me being me, and I did a considerable amount of research on this thing before I bought it, as much as I could. I'm hoping this video gets a little bit of traction, because all of the videos I've seen surrounding these inflatables are not great. No offense to the other YouTubers that I've seen put them up, but I wasn't like, I don't want to say I wasn't impressed, but the one guy I don't like, but that's not his fault. I just don't like what he does. And then the other guy, he never followed up on the video. He showed it inflated and talked about it a little bit, but you never saw anything else. And I've been checking his channel. So I bought this. I bought this one, which is supposed to also be 950 watts, 1100 CFM. So these are both supposed to be 1100 CFM. I think this one actually might be. God only knows what this one is. The Chinese. Okay. So there it is. It's the box it came in. It's 112 pounds or whatever. I can't lift the box up. So let's get I can lift the box, but it's real kind of don't smoke, kids. It's real kind of awkward to deal with. It says that's the size of it on the box. It is raining here, so I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm like a little kid. I can't control myself. I need to get my truck finished. I need to get it painted. I need to get it finished. Believe it or not, I'm being kind of careful with the knife because I know that Chinese don't like packaging. So the box was pretty heavily damaged when I got it. This is the bag that it's supposed to fit in. We'll see. I plan on buying a big tote for this. Lots of goodies. Well, it said it came with sandbags. These are the sandbags, which they damaged putting in the box. These are like flood type sandbags. So if you have a flood, you get all your neighbors together to help you fill them up. Yeah, I don't see them using those. This is a joke, actually. Tent stakes, which I wouldn't trust to hold a friggin' tent down, let alone a 33-foot inflatable structure. But I gotta give them credit. They said they'd send them, and they were in there. A little piece of clear vinyl. A piece of the material that it's made out of. I'm assuming that's the patch kit. And 2 bags of cheap rope that I wouldn't hang anything off of. And that's it. That's what's in the bag. So the material of is I heard another guy say it's a sailcloth, and basically that's what it is. It's just a. It's not quite canvas, but it's not quite PVC. It says Oxford cloth. Seems like it's relatively airtight. He said it was sailcloth. I don't sail, so I don't know. So here it is. Ugh. So I still want to tape mouse. Now I was going to go to Home Depot and buy a tarp and lay it down in the driveway, which I'm probably still going to do. But this is a. I am just so absolutely curious and infatuated by this thing that I gotta see what the hell this is all about. And the reviews online, the reviews on Amazon were mixed at best. They weren't 5-star reviews by any stretch. And the pictures and information that was on eBay and on Amazon were all the same. They were all the same. It was the same batch of pictures. So, well, this is apparently one end. It's tied in a bow. And so this is probably a really bad idea, but I'm going to set this up by myself. The entire unfolding process was quite arduous. I think it took me
every bit of 20 minutes, if not a little bit longer, to actually physically unfold it. Whoever folded the thing up did not fold it in a way that I would have folded it, which was to make it so all you had to do was unroll it, stick the connectors in, and then blow it up. They kind of folded it up very origami style to make it fit inside that bag. It was something that if I had to do it again, well, when I do it again, I'm definitely going to have two people involved with the inflation process, just to make it a little bit easier. Once it started to inflate, it did kind of put itself up. So there's that little bit to help with that process.
Well, I said I wanted the big one, and boy did I get the big one. It's like I said, I gotta work a few of the kinks out. Mainly how am I gonna fold it back up and get it in a way, put it in a manner that's I can get my truck in there. I knew before doing this I was going to have to move some shit around the driveway to back the truck in straight. They recommend not like turning the wheels. They recommend that you can pull straight in and out of it, and I can see why now. The material's kind of neat, but holy hell. Now I just got to see how much air actually flows through it. And I did buy a new spray gun to shoot this thing, which is supposed to have a pretty good transfer rate. So my overspray should be a minimum, but it's still going to happen. I do have the vents on the sides open, but not open all the way. And like I said, I'm using the larger of the two blowers, the larger of the three blowers. I still have an extra blower that I might actually be able to cobble in there somewhere. Wow, is that impressive? I wish that tree wasn't in the way so you could just get the scale of this thing. It's the size of a full-size real paint booth, and that's awesome because that's exactly what I needed for this project. The trick now is going to be getting it back in the box. And I'm a little curious to see how long it literally stands up. There's no wind here today at all. Very light breeze. But I have the most peculiar feeling even the slightest breeze is going to send this thing catapulting off into the stratosphere. Obviously not with a car in it, but I don't have a car in it right now. So I'm definitely going to have to stake this thing down. And I'm definitely going to probably put a tarp down on the outside and maybe the inside too. It might be worth it to buy a tarp. I got to measure the inside and see exactly what size it is. I don't necessarily trust the material that it's made out of, but it was $1,600. It's a little pricey, but I kind of dig it.
What I'm showing here is the way that the air exits the booth. There's a black filter material on the outside, and there's a green filter material on the inside. There's also like a window there that peels on and off, and I do think I show that somewhere else. Basically, the reason those holes are in there is to kind of keep the whole thing together. There's a good amount of air coming through those holes. The other thing that I'm going to show in a second is there's tie downs along the top of the unit. And there's a good number of them, and they're pretty sturdy, and I will tie the booth down. Today was just an experiment to make sure that it worked one way or the other.
So here we are inside. Now the booth is a little loud, but no louder than some of the other booths I've worked in. I was a professional painter. I've worked in professional spray booths. Well, my ears didn't pop when I came in here, but that's probably because it's not crazy pressure in here. There is pressure, it's greater than the atmosphere, but it's definitely positive pressure. So I'm really curious to see how it handles overspray and how air flows through. Now, I whipped my old vape out because I don't want to smoke in here. So you can see we don't get a whole lot of airflow. I hope it shows up. Now right here next to the mic. Yeah, not great. But these filters do come out. They're Velcroed in. So the arresters are replaceable. You can buy this arrestor material from Amazon or your regular paint supplier. And these are the arresters, which basically is what captures the overspray as it leaves. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really give a shit about the neighbors or the overspray coming out, but some people do. And theoretically, if you want it, well, there's no theory about it. Technically, it is illegal to spray VOCs out into the atmosphere without arresting the particulate. So the particulate in this particular case is the overspray. The overspray will get trapped in this netting and won't go out. Now you have to treat these as hazmat, depending on where you live. Me, I'm just gonna soak them in water and throw them in the trash because these can actually spontaneously combust. I've had it happen. The next step is down here where the intake filters are. Just to give it's kind of hard, my camera doesn't have a real wide-angle lens, so I'm gonna leave the camera here for a second and just walk to the back here. To give a little bit of scale. So I'm 6 foot tall, and so I've got a 6 foot wingspan. Now, this is what I got. Now I can feel air coming through here. The air intake, I'm going to show that the other side where the air comes in. And I can feel air blowing through these. The problem is the filters they're not great filters. I think something can be done with the filters to make them a little bit better. Alright, so there's a man door here that you can walk through. I'm going to grab the camera here and walk into this. There's a little airlock. I have to be careful standing in here because when I inflated this, I didn't expect it to be quite as large as it is. So I've got some debris on the ground I don't want to step on. I don't want to poke any holes in this thing just yet because I haven't even used it. inside of this man door. So the zipper for this man door is actually up here. It needs to be at the bottom. And then it can go all the way down. Still didn't even go all the way down. So the zipper needs to be down here. Or there needs to be some other kind of flap to get your air in. I'm going to be using my shop air, the air that I use in my garage. I've got air dryers in my garage, in my shop. So in here, actually, I can do a little bit better with the filters, I guess. These filters, the air for this room comes in at the bottom over here. Comes in right here. And it's coming in with quite a good amount of pressure. Nothing compared to an actual spray booth, like a downdraft spray booth. Those things use 4 horsepower engines and squirrel cage fans, and they're running like 20 psi inside of them, atmosphere 17. So I'm a little twitchy about these zippers. The zippers look like they're kind of shitty and cheap. And I'm actually looking at them right now. They're kind of stressed to the max. I'm hoping that works out. The blowers are loud. I don't have my earplugs on me. I'm going to put earplugs in when I'm working in here. So this is where the filters are. These are not, by any Chinese stretch of the imagination, these are not paint booth filters suitable for operation with in a real paint booth. They're okay for what I'm thinking we're doing here, but I'm thinking that I'm not going to do it this time. These are brand new, so I'm not going to bother replacing them. And like I said, I might just get one filter and put it at the intake. I have some filters. Regular paint booth filters are sticky to catch the particulate in the air. Part of the reason I've got this thing blown up now is, one, it's a new toy and I got to play with it. The other is I want to try to get some of the shit out of it. I know there's dust and dirt inside this thing. Another thing you can do, this just occurred to me, it's actually probably what I'm going to do. So go to Home Depot and buy some cheap white crystal tack cloths, and I'm just going to stick them on here to catch any shit that comes in here. The reason there's an airlock in here is because you don't want a massive pressure variation out there in the booth itself. So let's walk the rest of the way through here. My lens isn't wide enough to do the whole thing. So here's the exit. So what I got going on here is there's actually 3 blowers in operation. My electric meter's spinning like crazy. The green one is 1100 watts or 1.5 horse is what it's rated at, but it's Chinese. It could be, that's metric horsepower. I guess the horses are smaller in China. The one in the middle is also one that came with the unit. That's 350 watts, and that is not enough to inflate the booth and keep it inflated. If you read the directions on the website, it says that that's the inflation blower, and that's bullshit. It ain't that thing. I tried it. It ain't working. The yellow one next to it is a supplemental blower that I purchased prophylactically, knowing that that 350 was not going to inflate this structure. I think, personally, if given the choice or given the opportunity to make this unit work just a little bit better, I would have included 3 1100 watt blowers, and I would have had an air entrance on the other side. I might build a baffle here. I haven't decided yet. Quite frankly, I'm in such a rush to get my truck painted that I might just fucking live with that. If I was going to use this thing on a regular basis, if I was going to use it maybe once a week or once a month until it ripped and I couldn't use it anymore, I would probably build something to get that air just a little bit more. What I would do is I'd go buy some sailcloth, I'd cut a hole in the other side and install a secondary airflow. It needs 2 to get any real flow through this thing. It's better than nothing, but it just doesn't flow enough air in. The other thing is the Chinese secondary blower I bought doesn't have enough ass to keep this thing up, and it actually already went out on overheat, so I'm a little worried about it. I'm just going to leave them run. This thing has to stay inflated for about 19 to 20 hours for me to paint my truck. So I am going to shut it down and fold it up today because I have shit to do tomorrow. I really wanted to paint my truck tomorrow, but I don't have my spray gun and I don't have time tomorrow to paint this. So let's get away from these blowers and just do a quick synopsis here. So there it is. I can't wait to paint in it. I am really curious to see how it's gonna function as an actual paint. But as a structure, it seems okay. Absolutely, I got to tie it down. The sandbags and shit that came with it, that's just typical Chinese to make you think you got something for nothing. I got a bunch of 20-pound propane cylinders I might use. I was originally just going to tie it down on 4 corners with my old tires and some load binders. Yeah, I might need a little bit more than that. Just to keep it structural this way, in case I get a breeze through here every once in a while that could be problematic. But I'm thoroughly impressed with it. I'd almost be tempted to pull my truck in and then just let it deflate around my truck. Because it's hard. Might not be a bad idea. Now, you know what? I gotta get it wet. That's the other thing is I was trying to decide on which direction I wanted to put this. I'd have to go buy some high quality extension cords. I'm actually using them. Just take the chicken heaters. The chickens don't need more heat for their water today. So this is a pretty decent angle of the booth, and you get a pretty decent size of it. There's my truck for scale. Probably should do this on a level surface. Level surfaces are a little bit hard to come by around here, so I could do it out front, but I'd rather be a little bit out of sight, out of mind. I don't need the entire neighborhood knowing what I'm doing. It's bad enough the neighbor sees it, but he doesn't bother me a whole lot. He might be able to read the directions, though. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to I'm going to unplug the blowers and I'm going to deflate it. I was originally thinking, and I might do it when I'm ready to paint. So ideally what I need to do is I need to finish sanding the truck now. So the truck needs to be wet sanded with 600 grit sandpaper, washed again, and blown out, washed, blown out, and prepped for taping. So what I'm thinking of doing, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to, once all that work is finished, I'm going to back the truck in. Backing it in I'm thinking, going to be the best way because the air blowing through, it's like a toss-up. So I've never painted anything in there. I should probably just like paint the tailgate in there to see what happens with overspray and airflow and stuff. But basically what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to back the truck in, tape it, and then determine whether or not I want to, when I actually want to physically spray the truck. So I'm going to back the truck in, deflate the booth around the truck and tie it down. And then the next day I'll come in and I'll reinflate the booth and then tack it off. Blow the booth out because I know there's all kinds of fuzzies and shit flying around in there. So I shut the booth off, and I took the air nozzles off of the blowers, and it's deflating, deflating quickly. I just, for the sake of argument, I disconnected the 300. I disconnected the 1000 first, and then I disconnected the 300. I kind of like the redundancy. So I'm going to open the vents. And now I'm going to open the door. And you can feel the air rushing out of this thing. What was holding it up was the static pressure inside of the booth itself. I think I'm going to have to walk on this thing, so I'm going to take my shoes off. I probably shouldn't have been walking in there with my shoes on anyway. I have the most peculiar feeling this last little bit of air is going to be a real pain to get out. I should have opened the man doors all the way, and I didn't do that. Specifically says not to drag it, which I just did. A tarp, I think, is definitely the way to go. So that wasn't the most graceful of processes, and I obviously didn't get it back in the bag. I knew that was going to happen. I plan on buying a tote for it, and I think ideally I should have opened the man doors, and I didn't do that, which was a serious mistake on my part. So it didn't, just the air just didn't come out of it the way it should. It actually reminded me of my dad's old 12-man Ted Williams tent. The bag could be a little bit better designed too. The bag itself, that's like a feed bag or something. I don't know. It's not a very good bag. But that's about it. I think it went pretty well for our breakdown, and it took 40 minutes, give or take a little bit.